Welcome back to the LEC Spring Season Semi-Finals between G2 and Rogue. It has been 6 years, 7 months, and 25 days since the team not named G2 or Fnatic won the title. Only one other name has been able to successfully accomplish that, and it was Alliance back in 2014. Rogue are one win away from guaranteeing a new European champion, and for righting the wrongs of last year, where they were in the same position. They were up and ultimately couldn't get it over the line.
We talked about it. This is an organization that has only gone from strength to strength, and they have slowly been building off of their franchised players. Larssen and Inspired were the players that we looked at when they first joined the league as being the potential superstars that they could one day become, and they are so close. The addition of Odoamne, Hansama, Trymbi over the last few years being built around these two has now culminated in the rematch. This point, once again, was that change enough to get them to the final, or will they be stopped once again by the Titans that are G2? It's time for the Game 4 draft. It's time for G2 versus Rogue.
Booyah!
Remember that at the beginning of the split, many people saw these two teams as the two best in Europe. And now Rogue is so close to finally changing the pecking order and coming out on top to then have to face Mad Lions tomorrow. There is still one competition left to go, and we shall see. We're jumping into draft. It seems that both the Jinx and the Seraphine are going to continue to be taken off the board.
So just as an aside, G2 have banned Jinx 3 out of the 4 games. The last time that Rekkles played Jinx was in 2019. It was a loss. And before that, he played in 2015. The reason I do point it out, it was one of our big talking points, one of the champions that's rising in value. That ban is followed by Hecarim, Lucian, and over on the other side, Seraphine and Senna.
Yeah, so the one difference here for G2 is replacing that Lucian, putting that Lucian ban in place of Tresh. That was banned by them in the previous game. Last game, they went for the first pick, Udyr, and Jankos' Udyr, there was nothing necessarily wrong with that. I thought his early game was actually pretty good.
The Orianna.
Orianna was left open last time too.
I mean, yeah, but I'm surprised that they would actually let that one through. Why would you not just want to get that into the hands of Caps, perhaps?
Right.
I guess they just want to get the strongest possible jungle matchup. Maybe they're saying Rogue doesn't play Volibear, and they're like, well, okay, if you want to pick the Lillia, then you're going to have double AP mid, perhaps?
And that's why Orianna wasn't picked last time around. Lillia Lucian was open and available. And into the Lucian, Caps elected to run that Syndra. Larssen will lock in Orianna right now. Yeah, is open and available if he wants to, but obviously with AP mid, you may not want to.
I wonder if eventually we get to an Inspired Graves angle. I feel like he's kind of on the carry train right now, and if this Thresh gets locked in, that opens up things like the Aphelios in the bot side for Hansama. Obviously, the Jinx was banned, which is what they paired with it before, but you want hyperscaling, you want a team fight bot lane for Hans.
So I'm immediately thinking something like an Ashe for Rekkles. Like, that's just kind of where my brain is at right now, because if they're thinking something like an Aphelios, something that needs peel, then you want to try and create as much range as possible, especially with a Udyr already running at you. But because they don't see the Aphelios, it's not something that they have to lock in, but it seems like that G2 is thinking along a similar line that I am. The question is, will they lock in their support right now? I feel like there's a lot of supports available that you can just go into the Thresh, so perhaps they want to just grab the Victor or even something like a Syndra into the mid lane as an Orianna answer. Yeah,
I mean, I would be a little surprised to see them go for the presumed top laner now for Wunder in that Karma, because yeah, like you're saying, obviously if Caps has a little, you know, something else up his sleeve besides a Victor, then, I mean, there's only 2 bans in the second phase, so it's likely that he can hold on to some kind of counter pick for that Orianna. That is the expectation here, but now you're either going to get pinched on mid or support. I would expect something like a Victor ban and then maybe a support to follow, maybe something like that, Rel.
Find out what direction they head in. I mentioned this in the previous game. Jankos has played Udyr 3 times professionally in his career. All this year, all of them defeats. This will be his 4th And with Ashe taken away, Jinx removed from the pool, Senna as well, Hansama locks in the Varius.
But we need the Varus stats now, Quickshot. Come on, you need to be on the ball here. Like, Varus is a champion that has been rising in popularity globally, in particular with some of the lethality builds that we have been seeing. Now we're going to get to see it for the first time in Europe.
It is Hansama's most played champion ever at 34 games prior to today. He has a win ratio of 58% on that pick. Interestingly, if you're wondering, Rekkles has played Ashe 19 times prior to today. And that Victor you talked about just a moment ago, Ender, it finds himself in the ban list.
And now with, the utility AD carries of old locked in, I wonder if this unlocks more playmaking from the top lane, from the jungle as well. Again, I mentioned like something like a Graves for Inspired, and I feel like already you have the CC to back it up. If you wanted to get front line from your top laner, put Odo on Scion duty or something similar to that, like, I think this could be a Graves angle for Inspired.
Remember, the Rogue also have the Gnar. Like, that's still just a blind pick top. They can save the counter pick. I mean, I don't know why they would save jungle for last pick, personally, but they could do it, and they have done it before. I think that Volibear doesn't need to be banned. They should consider banning... Oh, okay, no, they're actually just going to ban away the Jace. I wonder if they're asking for the Gnar blind. You know, perhaps they're saying, hey, listen... If you, by banning away the Jace, one of the few Gnar answers is now gone, so why don't you just pick the Gnar, because we potentially have something else, especially with the Nocturne already gone. Yeah,
I'm wondering if it was like, if a Gnar or something were come in and Wunder's eyeing something like a Malphite, perhaps, if we get a very squishy backline for Rogue. Well, Thresh Lantern not that fast compared to a Malphite flying on in there. It will be a AP jungle champion for Inspired, maybe hinting that Odo would like to go for a Gnar, some physical counter.
I've been thinking like that Wunder hasn't locked his top laner in, but like
it's the karma.
Yeah, it is the karma. I'm assuming that it's the karma, unless they want to put the karma mid. There was an LPL player that did bring it out in the mid lane. I forget who it was. Part of me wants to say Doinby because that's just what he would normally do. But we are going to get the Ashe Braum coming out once again. This was a bot lane that they have in fact played before. Wow, and also the Sylas. Saw a lot of AP damage coming out from the side of G2. But there's some good ultimates to be able to steal on the side of Rogue. But it does seem like that they're actually putting their trust back in Caps. They're saying, you know what, Caps, we've been struggling. We need a playmaker. We need someone that can just kind of snowball the game, find leads, and we can play around. And it seems to be that Sylas is going to be the champion for Caps.
Yeah, I mean, you have a strong skirmishing jungler around it. The Sylas can get active early on as well. So I'd love to see G2 try and unlock around the mid lane. Because frankly, Ashe Braum, you're not really probably trying to play towards that. Same thing with Karma into the Renekton. Hard to influence that lane here. So now that the Renekton does get locked in on the other side, Rogue have that physical damage top laner that also acts as a tank for the team. Rogue, again, have strong lanes. They have strong, CC setup within team fights as well to set up for Hansama to have the time of his life on this Varus.
By the way, this is the 15th unique champion that Caps has played throughout the spring season. The Sylas is one of his most played and most successful champions. 75% win rate over the 16 previous games. And Caps will be asked to step up and force Rogue into a Game 5 scenario. G2 are one win away from being eliminated from making finals. They've made the 4 previous finals back to back to back to back and won them. And Rogue are on the verge of making history.
We're going to talk a little bit more about the draft when we get into game, but this is a really huge moment for European fans. For anyone that may be just tuning in, doesn't watch the LEC very often, it's G2 or Fnatic. They are the teams that are always in the final. It is the expectation that they will bounce back regardless of whatever struggle that they face. So for a team like Rogue to be in this position, to be one game away, to knocking G2 out and making it to the final, we're going to make history today, potentially.
G2 Esports have won 8 titles, Fnatic 7, Alliance 1. Will G2 have another shot? Let's find out when we hit the Rift. Note for Jankos, Kedril, and Ender tomorrow. I think maybe the tone and the energy of the hype into the music probably should change. It's taken me a few games. It's taken me a few games, and I think the tonal shifts from hyper intense to...
Look, Trevor, it just reminds us all we're playing a video game.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And while that was an entertaining segue, the stakes could not be higher. And I know I've said it several times, but Rogue were in the scenario last year. They've got themselves 2 wins on the boat. Trymbi will get tagged out by that Winter's Bite and escapes, sidesteps The arrows come down from Hans Summer, and despite the stun landing, Trymbi's able to flash to safety. Now, the next target is Hans Summer, but this may be optimistic.
I mean, this is an adaptation from the last game when Rogue were stacking 3 inside that brush. Well, this time you have a Sylas level 1, you have a Braum, you have an Ashe. Like, your level 1 is a monster if you are G2 here. So getting the flash off Trymbi, obviously going to be a good sign. Now, the question is, do they also elect to split the map in half, like Inspired did to G2 in game number 3? And it looks like the answer is yes. Jankos already in on that blue buff, going to have that as it spawns. And you'll notice on the other side of the map, Wunder is hanging out around the blue buff to see if Inspired goes for it immediately, which he doesn't. Inspired very likely does his Raptors and then goes for the invade on that top left side.
Okay, so what does this mean for the lanes? Well, bot lane, it looks like no crazy stuff happened for Hans Summer and Trymbi. Typically, I expect a Thresh Varius lane to actually get that early prio with the extra bit of range that the Thresh does have, but with no flash and knowing that they don't have a jungle on their side of the map, I imagine they don't actually want to get too aggressive when it comes to the early pathing because the risk of a gank is very real. In the mid lane, Cap starting with his E means that he's likely going to fall behind a little bit early on. You kind of want that Q at level 1 to be able to farm from range, so he's going to have to just bite the bullet for the early game for the benefit of trying to get that first blood, and that also means that Wunder's going to have to be forced to do the exact same thing as Rogue's bot lane. Play a little bit more defensively, play on the weak side because you know that your jungler's not going to be in the vicinity as both junglers split the map and continue to farm their first clear.
Yeah, no sort of, level 2, level 3 dives going around this game because it was just that one summoner spell that was spent. Now, Wunder taking really good trades up against Odoamne topside. You'll notice with the extra minions building up, this wave will be pushing away from him, so he needs this ward in river, knowing that Inspired very likely in his own jungler's top side and that a gank could be on the horizon. So this next wave likely trying to push as fast as he possibly can and then bounce it and go for a reset.
Good trade there coming out from Caps, but here comes the jungle now. Level 3 from Odo. Immediate flash. Wunder really just showcasing the respect, but the stun still comes through.
Steps forward. Swell Seed comes out there from Inspired. No further follow-up. Mikyx and Rekkles pushing forward. This duo was played earlier this season and a victory.
Oh, good
Second
hook.
time for Ashe. Trymbi gets the death sentence onto Rekkles and he escapes with his life.
A bit of a bad trade there from Mikyx. The fact that he went into melee range to try and proc the passive onto Hans Summer but wasn't actually able to do it meant that as he tried to escape, the Flay then comes through and the Rogue bot lane's actually able to come out ahead. So they get the heal out from Rekkles.
Yep.
Does cost them an ignite though, as now both junglers hovering around mid lane.
Well, what's going to happen? That's the engage coming forward. Caps will get Jankos support in a moment. Flash is available to him. Not going to commit further. So unlike the previous game, where 4 minutes in we had 5 kills secured, this time round, players are able to escape.
Oh, Jankos should know Inspired hasn't done his red buff, and these Raptors are respawning now. Larssen, no HP, no mana. He's going for a reset. Has TP to get back onto the map, and Caps will not be able to support Jankos once that TP does come through. Inspired should be able to get this one even without using the smite, so not too bad for him. And now as the TP comes on out, it's really risky for Jankos to stick around. Mikyx is in the area, but I still don't like that invade.
Yeah, I think that he wanted to do what he could to invade, but he was a little hesitant of the potential Renekton collapse. Notice how Mikyx did an immediate roam up into mid lane as Rekkles does have a free setup on bot. So Mikyx's able to get that level 3 and then also potentially cover for any sort of early game shenanigans. But a very early reset. What does Mikyx actually use his time for? Pops the Blast Cone, sorry, the Blast Cone, the Scry's Bloom rather. Also drops a ward hovering around mid side. So they're getting information on the bot side jungle so they can figure out what is Inspired up to in this early game so that Jankos can then determine what he wants to do with his path. It looks like he's going to send the jungle pathing back to normal.
Yeah, and whenever we look at the bot lane and these 2v2s and how they play out, it's actually really important to note that G2, if you look at all of their offensive abilities, they all get blocked by minions. Now, we saw them get the flash off Trymbi from level 1. It looked pretty good for them. Then Rogue took a nice trade, and that's because, frankly, Rogue can trade through minions. The Thresh Flay is set up very nicely from the slow from the Hail of Arrows by the Varius. So inside the wave, Rogue, of course, have some setup, and if Inspired were ever to come bot side, they would be able to sort of run at G2 in a way.
We'll see if they can find that out. We saw the hook shot there from Rekkles, spotting out Inspired. And while we have a very brief moment, I just want to quickly remind everyone that Rekkles came in to replace Perkz on this roster. The era of G2 with Perkz is now over. And of course, G2 have stopped Rekkles from winning 3 times. An argument could be made, if they do not win this game, could be a 4th time from picking up that title. However, Rekkles and the rest of G2 are on even footing at 5.5 minutes. I liked seeing Jankos a little bit earlier invading and trying to bully Inspired. Once again, backing up Caps. That's the flash forward, finds the stun, dash over the wall. Swirl Seed comes out, no ultimate for Inspired, and it is Caps, the man that needs to carry, that gets first blood.
This is perfect. This is exactly what I wanted to see from G2 from draft. You know, this entire series long, it's been Jankos clearing his jungle, losing to Inspired, Larssen having pressure in mid, but no, with the Sylas next to Udyr, you have early playmaking options, and now this is the second, third time Jankos has visited, and it's finally a kill.
And that play was actually set up well in advance, and so much praise needs to be given to Caps. If we do go to a fifth game, hopefully the analyst desk can kind of break it down, because the cool thing about what happened was when Caps stayed in mid rather than TP back, he actually forced the wave underneath the tower to start a slow push that bounced back towards him. He could then set up a freeze. If we could just hover very quickly over here, he very quickly set up a freeze along this line, which then made it easy for Caps to then set the gank up with the Udyr. So Jankos was hovering around mid, waited for Larssen to overextend. They force his flash, immediate repeat gank into the play. And what can Larssen do there? Like, his wave is in a very awkward spot. And so you can see that G2's whole game plan there was to try and get mid ahead. But now Rogue is on the offensive as Jankos now ganking top.
Jankos will be the first one into the fray, but Inspired is nearby. Dominus will buy a lot of time for Odoamne. Inspired goes bowling and is holding on to the lullaby. Looking at the mini-map, mid laners haven't just yet moved, and there is enough pressure from Inspired to dissuade any further follow-up.
Yeah, Caps used his TP to get back to mid. Mikyx is actually hanging out to see if maybe there would be a play on Larssen after the gank attempt towards the top side. Well, Inspired is level 6. Jankos the same, but having access to that sleep will mean that Inspired can push him out of the jungle and play for the blue buff. Priority for Odo means you can push on in.
Oh, Larssen's in a little bit of trouble. He's hijacked the shockwave, and the Lantern will allow Larssen to escape. Right place, right time. Dabba-dee-dabba-die as Inspired steals yet another blue buff. And you can feel the tension of the game as we're on match point for Rogue and G2. All of a sudden, the Drowsy will be activated with the ultimate. Inspired needs some backup. Rogue are split. They've got a fight on two fronts. Caps is ignited. He goes back
Shockwave.
in. Shockwave from Larssen. Odo gets his first of the game. Immediately turns his attention over to Wunder. He flashes over the wall. Inspired steps forward. Will it be the bowling ball or will it be the bonk? And it's the swirl for the double kill.
On match point, Rogue take the first fight inside the river. It's a full 4 versus 4. The AD carry's chilling in the bot side of the map, but Rogue saw their opportunity with that shockwave. Larssen saying, we can go in here, and Odo Inspired followed up beautifully.
They just underestimated the power of Rogue's comp this early on into the game. Renekton has clear strengths and weaknesses, and a skirmish like that is probably one of his biggest
Not many
strengths.
weaknesses there.
Yeah, exactly that, and I think that G2 made a very poor decision, and crucially, Caps burnt everything earlier on in the mid lane to try and make a play onto Odoamne. He doesn't have his ultimate available, and Braum, while getting to the fight quite quickly, Wunder doesn't have any damage. Just the damage portfolios are just so in favor of Larssen. Look, the Ignite comes down onto Caps, zones him out of the way. They think they can re-engage, but look at Odoamne, the shockwave into the dive in with Lillia with the chase down. Like, the reality is Rogue not only had more overall damage, but they also just had more skills available. G2 got greedy, and they got punished.
Yeah, and at this point, I mean, Sylas, not much ability haste built up. Like, he has to go through these long rotations of spells, whereas Larssen just auto-attacking from range, Trymbi auto-attacking him, ignite him, all these things. So, a really good start to the game from Rogue, and even after the initial gank around mid went favorably for G2, they're now looking at yet another early game loss.
I feel like we haven't seen Inspired not have 2 kills within the first 10 minutes. Like, the guy has literally only ever just gotten early game kills for Rogue. And like, we've praised this man enough, but the guy is having such an impressive series. And, you know, I talked a lot about were these roster changes enough. Honestly, like, just the level up from him as a player over the years has just been a joy to watch. And right now, he is fighting for the title of best jungle. And I think that, you know, people believed it during the regular season. Now he can make his way to the final and really prove it here in the early season.
I mean, that's the question. I'm going to ask fans at home, do you believe Rogue will win? Vote in chat, yes or no. Do you believe Rogue will win? Yes or no in chat, and I will check in with you in a moment or two. The Rift Herald fight has been started off, and Vedius, I want to build on something you were talking about. Inspired has grown into the player that you see in front of you, contesting and frankly dominating Jankos throughout the course of this series, and really impressing throughout the course of Spring. Larssen, maybe for the first time overcoming the Caps boundary, and somebody I definitely want to be supporting and surprised by is Trymbi. Now, unfortunately, he's not here to help out Hadsama in this bottom lane. But a lot of damage will be traded by the tower. Miky's going to go low. Trymbi's got Ignite available to him. What just an empowered boop to get the counter kill onto his opposite number. And when you consider the experience difference, 90+ playoff games for Mikyx in Europe to now 10 for Trymbi. It is very impressive to see Rogue up again. 4 kills to 2, up nearly 2,000 gold. And Odo is just starting to take over this Renekton.
Yeah, I mean, the cost for admission into the bot lane dive is going to be a couple of plates in the top lane. Larssen also freely able to walk up to tower and take a plate for himself. So these lanes starting to look good, and the fans have spoken. G2 with just 35%, because they still have to win 2 games. It's not just about coming back in this one. It is game 5 as well.
Oh my word. It seems that the fans are starting to lose faith, which is kind of crazy because the expectation was that G2 would always be able to bounce back. This team would be the best in Europe for a long time, especially with the addition of Rekkles, but questions are now continuing to come through, and Rogue only continue to level up. 2k gold is the lead at 11.5 minutes into the game. A lot of that is, of course, sitting on the top side of the map. The bot is still very even, though, and mid is also finding advantages. So even though Larssen did get ganked a fair amount in the early game, he found that successful fight with the multi-man shockwave. He's found himself with 3 assists. He's winning in the CS department, and I think we can safely say that Larssen is definitely overcoming the hurdle that has been Caps for so long.
He'll need to set his sights on Humanoid, who earlier today tweeted, LEC is so free. And just as a reminder that the winner of this series has to face Mad Lions tomorrow for a shot at the title. And right now it's feeling like it is again in Rogue's favor. Now, the game is not at that same point that we were 20 minutes in previously, where it was Rogue's to lose. There's still a lot of options available to G2. I like the fact that this time around they can rely on the Ashe Arrow as non-committal engage. I love the fact that Caps has some huge ultimates to steal away as well. They can be very impactful. And we need to see if G2 can put themselves in a position to make that happen. This time around, though, gentlemen, no early dragons. 12.5 minutes on the clock. No dragons secured as of yet.
Another blue buff, though.
And it's just another time walking in here like Inspired. It's not a very difficult timer to know. It's 5 minutes from the last time you took it. So as long as you keep taking them, you know in the next 5 minutes, it's time to show up.
But like, Inspired's even in my head about this. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm going to show up to my blue buff Inspired's there. I'm like, what's going on?
But the madness of it is Inspired's pathing is actually so predictable at times. And yet the way that Rogue draft to make sure they have priority lanes, the way that he can be flexible about which buff he wants to invade depending on which side of his map is going to be strongest. It doesn't matter if it's predictable. It doesn't matter if you see it coming a mile away. Rogue have hit all the checks off the list in order to know that they are going to get away with that every single time.
It's very impressive stuff. Let's see what they do with it next. Supports are making their way towards the mid lane. The Herald's going to come down, and this is a big deal for Rogue. They're going to deny Caps as much as possible, start funneling a little bit more money into Larssen, but more importantly, open up the map a little bit more.
Man, look at those plates. Shelly's going to do so much work as the Glacial Fish is used just to buy time. The ECA has not yet been fired by Rekkles, who is sitting toe-to-toe with Hansama in the bottom lane. The tower, First Blood, picked up by Rogue. Rift Herald used to perfection. Larssen is plus 30 CS over Caps. And remember that he was the victim of that fantastic gank setup earlier that Vedius broke down. But it doesn't matter. As a team, Rogue have overcome it. But it will be at the cost of now the Cloud Drain.
I mean, you talked about it earlier, Quickshot. I mean, you talked about it throughout the series. The point at which this is Rogue's game to lose, I think we're already there, man. Like, a 4K, well, 3.5K gold lead at 15 minutes into the game. Like, the fact that they've already taken down the mid tower, first item completed for Larssen, the stride breaker now done for Odoamne. Like, maybe there's an element of scaling to the side of G2's comp that I don't know yet, but right now, things just look like the Rogue series.
Chain of Corruption comes out. There can be one shot backwards. Lockdown in place. Kingslayer's fired out by Caps. Takes a lot of time. Caps is low. Mickey's low. There's a party in the bottom lane, and it's time to go Rogue. Odoamne dashes forward. There's no dominance available to him. Cold-the-Meat comes out. The shockwave will catch one more. 2 quick kills to Rogue as Odo slices and dices his way to safety. Larssen gets another, and Rogue may have just done it, but Wunder is still left standing. Trymbi with the flash. Flay finding kills for days. stays. Wunder with a Soul Flare gets at least another one back. This is not yet over, and G2 are fighting to the bitter end.
Still such a close fight. Rogue trade up 1 kill when all is said and done there, and it could have been much, much worse for G2. We'll watch it again because the combination of Ashe player plus stolen Varus ultimate by Caps should be just lights out for anyone, but it doesn't come in quite fast enough. Hansama gets underneath turret, and this makes Caps take so much damage. But it shouldn't matter. It's a 4v5, and Rogue have all the HP in the world, and yet G2 do end up kiting them out for quite some time.
They certainly do. I thought that this fight was actually winnable for G2. I was keeping my eyes on Rekkles, and I was like, hey, if he can just keep dishing out damage, but things like the Guardian came through, and then the stopwatch comes through, and then I'm like, oh, Larssen still has full HP, and his ball does not have that long of a cooldown. I think that play from Trymbi was actually a bit of a misplay. I think he was actually aiming for the Ashe, but either way, it does work out. They don't quite get that kill onto Wunder, but again, Rogue are just showcasing that they know how to play this fight.
You don't want this.
The rest of Rogue are nearby. Hansama stays alive just long enough for the lullaby to put G2 to sleep. Is it past your bedtime? Old Crown Protectors as Rogue pick up a bunch of kills, and now they extend their advantage.
Rogue are just playing the map better than G2. Off the resets from that fight, they've got 4 people sprinting topside for the Herald. Jankos had no idea. He sees 2v1, but it's a 4v2 that Rogue are going to win and continue to collect around the map.
Well, the man who I think is going to be the most celebrated for this one is forever third place, Odoamne, a man that is best finished third place, has 5 third place finishes under his belt. And coming into today, there's a bit of a meme. Maybe it would happen again. Expectations and predictions were that G2 were going to win this one. In 377 games, Odo may be in his best shot yet to advance to the finals.
Yeah, you guys have to appreciate, Odoamne has been playing for years. There was a time when Odoamne and Jankos were on a roster together.
And how far did they get? The semifinals at Worlds.
Yeah, I mean, you weren't even born around that time, right? And it was crazy. He has been playing for such a long time, and the fact that he has never made a final, the fact that many players in Europe have not made a final because of the organizations of Fnatic and G2. And when you speak to many pros, many expectations were that if you're not on one of those orgs, you're not gonna win.
Yep.
It's just not gonna happen. And finally, we're getting to a time where maybe the apple cart will be upset. G2, they're not out of it yet, but things are looking dire. We will see how this game progresses as G2 5-man mid.
All right, Ashe arrow comes out. Trim.
Oh!
Now look at that in reply. All of a sudden, Caps picks one up. G2 are still down a significant amount.
Yeah, it's a Mikhail's rush from Trymbi, so nice mechanics there, good timing to escape the arrow, but still will lose his life at the end. The trade, though, Rogue, they're bashing top lane, the wave pushing it all the way forward, bot lane tower getting taken down very low as well.
Again, Ender, every single time this series, G2 have committed to a skirmish, or at least most times, Rogue have had a counter play somewhere else in the map to get more advantages.
I mean, the difference is, right, G2 committed 5 players into mid lane for a kill. Earlier in this game, Rogue committed 4 members into the mid lane for an entire turret, right? All 5 plates they were able to take off that play while Hansama could farm bots. They have been playing multiple lanes at all times, never fully committing into one area on the map, and it served them very well.
It's just a fantastic story to look at, and Rogue have got all the tools necessary. Not to be a Debbie Downer, but just a reminder that Rogue were 2-1 up in a series a year ago, around about this time. And G2 were able to bounce back. Things feel different now, though.
They do.
Things feel like that rap battle was ahead of its time from a year back, where Rogue and Mad stood above the corpses of Fnatic and G2. And we
got a lot of value out of that rap battle.
A huge amount of value. I actually was asking if we could have got it this series, because it was ahead of its time, and it is an exciting time to be a fan of European League.
All right, so when we kind of look at game state, obviously the gold gap is massive, and you only have to look at the items to really see that, right? I don't know how they're going to kill this Renekton. The Orianna is a level up on Caps and also has 2 items. I think G2 just need to concede this Drake, and they need to just kind of play the long game. Wait for Karma to get into the late game, offer that utility, kind of play around the Ashe, wait for Sylas to get 2 to 3 items. What they're doing right now is like worst case scenario.
Yep, they say your advice be damned, Mr. Day. Jankos is the first to fall, and this will allow a free dragon to Rogue at the cost of Jankos' life.
And all I can ask is why?
Why?
Like, what is the point? You haven't taken a single outer tower yet. You could maybe trade that Drake for a top tier 1, or maybe even trade it for a mid tier 1. Like, there were so many options where all they need to do is delay the game, because trying to fight more now, I think, is not going to guarantee them any success. And you have to wonder if the mental is starting to collapse for G2.
Ender and Vedius, how many times have you asked why? over the last couple of weeks watching G2. Why this pick? Why this decision? Why this move on the Rift? I mean, Jankos just waltzed right into 5 members of Rogue. They are stacked up in the bottom lane. Odo's got teleport available to him. Rift Herald was summoned. This will be the 4th tower of the game secured. There's a sleep that will put Mikyx down and no further follow-up. 4 towers up, 7,000 gold up. And Rogue are in that same position. It is their game to lose, and it is currently their series win on the line.
And it's time to just completely force G2 off the map with all outer turrets down. Take every single camp you can. Of course, they are waiting to face off against Mad Lions tomorrow.
So the thing I will say is if anyone's going to carry this game, it's Rekkles. I was looking at the gold. Caps is too far behind Larssen to, I believe, have any impact unless he can get a couple shutdowns. Like, Rekkles is the one that has been staying even. Rekkles is the captain consistent, late-game team fighter that any European fan knows him for. And I think the fact that he's on 2 items and he has the Karma on his team as well, and a Braum, there's enough peel that he can carry in the late game. Whether or not he will be able to, the gold gap is obviously monumental, but if anyone were to do it, Rekkles is the player I'm looking at.
Think about the weight on his shoulders. You know, I shared that just a moment ago. 3 titles denied by G2. Now he joins G2 to not only win here in Europe, but to set his sights on success internationally. Remember that his former lane opponent, Perks, who was a former mid laner, has an international title, right? Both of those organizations on the precipice of being knocked out. Now, 7,000 gold down, looking at the mini-map state. There's 3 minutes to the next mountain. Baron is available as an option, and Rogue will once again just group up, shove the wave in, and the Chain of Corruption will not hold G2 in place. Just a little bit of chip damage on the tower.
I mean, it's just exactly right from Rogue. Get all the deep vision you can, take away camps as they spawn, and continue to force G2 further and further back, because we're at a point in the game where, realistically, if G2 had just slightly more control, Jankos still wouldn't be farming jungle camps, but Rekkles would be soaking up every single camp on the map, and if Rogue are stealing those away, that denies Rekkles the opportunity to funnel himself and get him into a better position in the game. And
stealing the
there you go, Inspired. Every buff will be stolen.
Oh, that's a flash forward. Will put Rekkles to sleep. He's able to flash away with his life for now. Gets the teleport out of Caps into the jungle, and Rogue are not resting on their laurels. They had the advantage, they pressed it further. That's another inner turret that's being focused. Ashe Arrow, Glacial Fissure, everything thrown at Rogue, and it has had little to no impact. That's a dash forward from Odoamne. He's still got flash available to him. Starting to peel backwards as Dominus will just about time out. The mini wave is getting shoved.
Good hook!
Once again, the death sentence will not catch Mikyx. Nor will the shockwave. That's not going to be able to pick up the kill, but it pushes G2 away.
But the kills don't even necessarily matter. They've still got a wave barreling at this turret. They may very well be able to take it because Odo on the flank can zone G2 away from the tower. In the meantime, all the topside jungle camps are respawning too, so Rogue have even more they can take. The kill, who cares about it? Just remove any chance for G2 to come back.
I'm just so impressed with how Rogue are using this pressure, because funnily enough, when I saw them resetting in the topside jungle of G2's, when I saw them resetting in G2's topside jungle, I noticed the red buff was alive, and I thought, oh, maybe they played for this. No, that's just a little too greedy, probably. They're probably going to look to reset. Then I look again at the minimap, and who's there at the enemy red buff? It's Inspired, the man who's literally at every single neutral objective that is in the game. It doesn't matter where you try to go, Inspired is there, ready and waiting, and he is just making this game impossible for G2 to play.
Grab your friends, grab your family. History is being made.
Oh, blue buff for Caps!
Champions. Caps finally gets a taste of his own blue buff, but at what cost? 5 towers down at 23 minutes. There is a dragon spawning shortly, but I really, again, want to just go back to the fact that Rogue did not take their foot off the gas. They accelerated. They kept pushing forward. In game 1, where they had that comp that really wanted to get further ahead, went a little bit slow. It allowed G2 back into the game, and that was the only game that G2 have won this series. This time around, Rogue are just bullying the crap out of G2, and it doesn't look like there'll be much contest around this next dragon.
I don't know if it's fully sunk in yet that G2 may just be done. Not even making the finals. Like, this team, everyone still expected them to go to MSI regardless of losing. You won't believe they lose until they are completely out of the tournament, and Rogue aren't even really giving them chances. That's the beauty about how Rogue play League of Legends, is they do not give you windows in which to come back in games, and it has just been clockwork from early game from start to finish.
And the thing is, there are going to be people out there that sit there and say G2 played bad, right? And like, there's an argument for that, but I feel that Rogue has just played so well this series. Like, from game one to where we're at now, Inspired has been nothing but impressive. I feel like Larssen has been able to conquer his demons and is just having such a phenomenal mid lane performance. And while Trymbi still gets caught out a couple times, he's still making a couple rookie mistakes. I think that he has
10 playoff games ever.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm willing to give him a bit of benefit of the doubt. And so, like, I have been so impressed with Rogue. And again, like, we're kind of talking about this game like it's done and over, but that's just how it feels like it. There is a 7K gold lead at 25 minutes into the game. I do not want to give you viewers at home that there is an illusion that this is going to be easy for G2, because if they turn this game around, it is a miracle with the current game state as it is.
And of course, there is an elite group of people who have taken down G2 Esports domestically in a best of 5. Mad Lions have done it twice. Fnatic have done it twice. Misfits have done it once. And Rogue may join the Elite 4 of Europe to take down G2. Rogue now going to peel backwards. The Lullaby was used, and they'll set their sights on Baron.
Rekkles had a QSS to get rid of that, but they still have to be concerned. Rekkles, no flash in the oncoming fight, and Rogue so powerful. They are welcoming G2 into them. They say, come here and fight us, and they are looking to take this series.
Larssen is playing Battle Orianna. Shockwave is available to him. Step forwards. That's going to catch onto Jankos. A clear focus of what it is. 2,800 hit points on the Baron. As peeled and focused on two sides. Shockwave is not yet used. That's a dash him forward. Caps still able to pick up at least one. The Baron does go the way of Rogue. Before Caps is down, he's taken out. The reply damage from Rogue kills the mid laner for G2 Esports. With Baron on 5 members, they get out of the pit.
Caps tried everything, flying into the pit to see if he could get a kill, steal the Baron, do something, but nothing could be done in the face of 5 members of Rogue. They now have the Baron and are pushing down top.
You are witnessing the end of an era. For the first time, Perkz does not play with G2. And for the first time in 5 seasons, G2 will not make finals. I mean, that is what is at stake here. Baron on 5 members of Rogue, the way they've been playing.
And it's just, you can see in this situation, Rogue are making it as hard as possible for G2 to get into the pit. Cap sees his opportunity and he just goes for it. He dives into the backline. Trymbi is his only target, but there's no real follow-up. Rekkles wasn't hitting anyone. Jankos doesn't flash in to try and steal away the Baron. It just feels like that everything is falling apart for G2. This team is collapsing. Rogue is dominating. They have a 10K gold lead. And with this Baron, they're looking to break into the base and make their way for their first ever final.
Mad Lions showed that G2 were fallible last week. Rogue showed that they are defeatable this week. And Europe as a region continues to prove that young rookies and smart roster changes pay off. Both Mad and Rogue got better than they were last year. And now Trymbi is body blocking 3 members of G2. The Ashe arrow comes out. Trymbi may have just
Odo's in 4!
The final fight. Dominus from Odo will get a lot of damage down onto Mikyx, but nobody has yet fallen. Caps escapes for now, and Rogue are on the inhibitor turret.
Odo with the casual 1v4 is healing off of the damage that G2 are trying to throw their way. Rogue break the mid lane inhibitor turret. The inhibitor will fall soon, and bot lane is not long for this world either.
It is a 10,000 gold difference. Baron is still on Rogue. Odoamne gets a lot of damage onto Rekkles. He's forced to run for his life. That's a flash forward from Caps onto Odo, who survives everything. Rogue now are inside G2's base. It is Rogue with absolute control yet again.
They're looking to end things right now, Quickshot. They're looking to make history, take down G2, and I don't think they're going to make it a final.
Oh my word, Rogue need to get past these Nexus turrets. Baron empowered minions are still pushing forward, and Rogue will back away for now. This Red Bull Baron power play is massive, plus 4,000 gold, and they haven't yet peeled
There's
out.
still 25 seconds. Larssen's going back to base to teleport back in. Rogue are saying it ends here. It all ends for G2, and Rogue look to push to final.
Oh my word, the G2 reign is over. 5 members of Rogue onto the Nexus turret. Caps is going to be able to hijack the chain of corruption. That could be pivotal. He hasn't fired it just yet, holding on to it for now. Shockwave is up for Larssen. Mikyx going so incredibly low. Rogue have not yet done.
There's a wave in the bot lane, but the Baron is gone. Rogue sticking around inside the base. That top Nexus tower, very, very low. The spells are here. The shockwave, everything ready for Rogue to say it's over.
Ultimates are up for G2 as well. This is going to be the final fight. Here comes ulti from Odo.
All right, Odo's going to be straight on top of Caps. The shockwave only catches Mikyx.
Inspired!
Dash forward from Inspired. It costs him his life. He manages to take down Mikyx. The first Nexus turret is still standing as all of a sudden, Hans Summer's forced to run for his life. Caps has been able able to defend the Nexus. He manages to re-engage and push Rogue away. Rogue stuck around far too long.
Inspired goes so deep there underneath both towers, instantly gets popped. It's a 2-for-2, but G2 hold on.
The final was in their eyes and they greeted a little too much for it. They wanted to end the game here and now. With a 10k gold lead, I don't really blame them for thinking they could just end things here, but unfortunately it wasn't quite enough. The shockwave only lands onto Mikyx. The ultimate looks big from Inspired, but he loses life instantly as a result. And while Mikyx does drop, G2 have the towers to act as a wall to keep Rogue from continuing the dive. They're able to force Rogue back. They'll be able to hold on for a little bit longer, but their base is in tatters.
Ultimately, it should not impact the state of the game. It is still Rogue and their game to lose. There is a Mountain Drake to pick up. They have a 10,000 gold lead. They have not conceded a single tower to G2 this game. It has been dominance. We're 31 minutes in, and there is a lot that has happened. Rogue, cool down, calm down, and finally set up for the final push.
Odoamne has not died once this game. Like, the man has had a great series. He wants to make his first ever final. He is so close to doing it. Can we quickly have a look at the gold observers? I want to see the difference between the two mid laners. There is a 2,500 gold difference between the two mids. Same for top lane, same for jungle. Like, the only close gap is between Rekkles and Hansama, and I don't think Rekkles can 1v9 this game. He has a strong front line. He has the Infinity Edge. If they can hold one more fight, maybe Rekkles and G2 can turn it around.
20% HP on both of those Nexus turrets. Super minions are pouring their way into the base. Caps once again has hijacked the chain of corruption. If that can lock down multiple members, I'm looking for the shot.
Oh, the shockwave!
That catches onto Rekkles. He's got no flash, he's got no heal. Oh no, slices and dices his way through. That is it. That is it done. Hansama will be able to pick up a kill onto Mikyx. The rest of Rogue are hunting down Caps. Wunder is running for his life, but there's no minions to work with. They have to wait for the supers to conga line their way in.
Rogue, it could not be more poetic. Larssen overcoming his demons and removing Rekkles from the equation with that shockwave. It's Rogue all the way.
All right, Caps is under a little bit of threat here. Multiple members of Rogue are low. The hijack is not yet available. Going gold, and the first Nexus turret falls. Rogue turn their attention to the second one. Caps is trying to get some kills on the backside, but he's down. He's dead. History has been made. Neither Fnatic nor G2 will be in a European final. And for the first time, Rogue will face Mad Lions for the crown. Normally, we let the players' elation and joy carry this moment. But frankly, they knew they were in the finals for the last 15 minutes.
Just stunning all around. I mean, Inspired completely owned this series. Every single game could do absolutely nothing wrong, and when it mattered too, the rest of the team stepping up behind him. Larssen shockwave multiple times, starting it off in the top river. Just ridiculous performance from Rogue.
And I think you said it earlier, it still hasn't sunk in, and G2 or Fnatic, they're not in the final. It is a Rogue versus Mad Lions final.
And don't forget, Rogue have done well in the regular season before, and every top team's like, oh no, they're predictable, we can beat these guys, oh, it's not that tough, in the best of 5, we'll run them over. Rogue just ran over G2.
Coming into today, the all-time record was 13-2 in favor of G2. It ends 14-5. Rogue become the 4th team in Europe to defeat G2 Esports in a best of 5. One could argue that Rekkles was denied a final and a title by G2 Esports for the 4th time in a row. And ultimately, the better team won last week, the better team won today, and the better teams in Europe in these playoffs have been Rogue and Mad Lions.
I mean, of course, and like, but you have to feel for many of the players on G2, like this was Rekkles' goal. He wanted to finally win something, the change to be a part of an organization like G2 with these players. Like, the expectation for many, I remember at the beginning of the split, reading tweets, reading Reddit, reading everything like, why do I want to watch a split where I know G2 is just going to win at the end of it? Even after they lost last week, people were like, okay, it's cool, but they always do this. They go into the losers bracket, they shake things up, and then they go straight back into the final and they win the whole thing. Not this time. They fell at the final hurdle, and the better teams came out on top, and nothing but respect for Rogue, and Odoamne making his first final and overcoming a game like this is definitely a big deal for him.
He is the last man on the stage. I can barely see his face, but the smile is fantastic. For a man that has 5 third-place finishes, to be in a final, in a series, and in a season where he played weak side so often, he got a lot of love from Inspired, who is one of your key Player of the Series nominees, followed by Larssen and Hansama. Odoamne, congratulations. Inspired, Larssen, Hansama, and Trymbi. Rogue as an organization, the European talent factory, and now they need to overcome their demons and take the 3rd seed from the regular season. Mad Lions were 3rd. First seed's gone, 2nd is all that remains.
Look, we've said it's the end of an era for G2, perhaps. It's the start of a new one. Rogue and Mad Lions, the two of the freshest teams in the LEC. So many young players that were itching with 1st and 2nd place finishes in the regular season last year. They did it.
The man on your screen, Larssen, overcoming Caps. We had a dedicated graphic for how difficult it is for Larssen to play into Caps, just to break it down. Anyways, blown away. There are not enough words. We did not tell enough stories, but hopefully we'll continue it. We'll soon hear from Odoamne, followed by the LEC post-game lobby with Trymbi and Inspired, as well as the announcement of the Spring MVP. Don't go anywhere. Rogue are in the finals versus Mad! We asked you to show us your moves, and the winner is Cushion! He's playing Misfortune on the red side, starting things off with a fantastic ultimate, picking up 2 quick kills. Dashing backwards into the tri-bush, looking for Recon. Gale Force forwards, finds the kill. Looking for the 4th, the double tap for the double-double. Darius is the target, knocked up with the Blast Cone and the pentakill! We'll see you in summer.
Kia, movement that inspires.
to the LEC playoffs as we just witnessed the end of an era, as Quickshot said. But I want to say the beginning of a new one, maybe Odoamne. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm happy to see, happy tears for once. It's been 8 years for you. How do you feel? This is going to be your first finals.
8? Is this my 7th?
7th.
7th year? I mean, it's crazy. It's like it was such a great ride, I guess. I didn't really, expect it, I guess. I mean, not like after I signed with Rogue, but like before, because I've been through like so many good teams that I didn't really get to make finals. And now, after 7 years being a boomer, I get to finally make it. And yeah, it's great, I guess.
It is great. Indeed, I'm super happy for you, Odo. And I remember that at the beginning of the year, we had a chat, actually. And you told me that if you didn't make it this year, this would be on you. I guess that... do you want me to leave your time?
No, it's okay. It's okay. Just some manly tears, but...
manly tears, for
it's
sure.
Fine.
But I mean, yeah, very, very, very much deserved. You've been waiting for this for so long. What was different this year compared to the other years you spent in the LEC? Because you told me, as I said at the beginning of the year, if I don't make it this year, I have no excuses. And I mean, you did everything in your power to make it, and you did.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, just more experience, I guess. It's been a long ride for me. Been through a lot of different environments, and I gathered a lot of experience, and I fixed a lot of my issues that I had that were holding me back in my previous teams. And obviously, everyone is just super talented here, and we're all doing our job very well. And yeah, just the individual talent is there, I think, and we're working as a team really well. And yeah, it kind of showed there were no excuses. We lost to Mad, and I felt like that was kind of like on us because we kind of cracked under pressure, and we made mistakes that we don't really make, usually. And yeah, after that, it's kind of like a wake-up call for everyone. We had some sort of breakdown, because when you lose like such a series, when you're like feeling so confident, it was rough, and it was kind of like on me and on everyone to pick each other up and kind of fix our problems. And I think today against G2, we kind of showed that we were a lot better than in the series against Mad, and tomorrow's series is going to be like a really, really competitive one. I mean, really blunt opinion, last time we should have beat them. We were ahead in all 4 games, but we just choked and we lost, so it's not going to happen tomorrow.
We'll see about the game tomorrow, but for now, as you said, you come from far place. I mean, you had issues in playoffs, you have to fix everything so quickly. What helped you overcome these demons, if I may call them like this?
I mean, I think the format helped for sure, because I never made finals, but I think 90% of the time I never lost third place match. So we're kind of in a enigma here, because we're third, but we're playing G2 to get to second. But it's kind of like the unstoppable force meets the immovable object, and like it never happened, so I'm kind of stuck in this like enigma where we have to do something. And yeah, I guess format helped. Never lost third place match. I guess we won today, but never made finals, but I guess we made finals today, so it's kind of a weird champ right there. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, everyone just stepped up massively, and yeah, nothing more I can say, I guess.
It's been an insane playoffs to watch, I mean, from viewers' perspective, but for you, seeing Mad Lions going to the finals, you joining them tomorrow, as we said, it's a new era, new teams. We're going to have a new champion, no matter what, tomorrow.
Yeah.
How has it been for you, living this speed of the LEC and this special?
I mean, I love the narrative now that...
Finally.
I mean, finally, now that like G2 Fnatic, All Kings is gone, there's going to be a new narrative for the next 2 years that we're going to like hear every day just because of this occasion. So I'm happy to ride the wave, and yeah, I'm excited to clap Mad Lions tomorrow because 2 years ago I wasn't good enough to stay on the team and they kicked me, but now I think it's time for me to kick them down.
Revenge, I see. That's what it's about for tomorrow.
Pretty much, yeah.
Last question for you. I mean, I got to ask you this one tomorrow maybe, but as we said, it's been 7 years. Was it worth the wait?
Definitely. I mean, because I don't know, it would have been a shame, you know, if I stopped before reaching a finals. So yeah, I always felt like I was good enough, but I never made it. And yeah, maybe I'm lucky tomorrow, and we change that even for the better.
That's not luck, Odoamne. That's hard work, and you deserve this spot in the finals that you got today. Looking forward to a new page of history with you and Mad Lions playing in finals tomorrow. But again, congrats on making finals. Finally, I want to say. And yeah.
Okay, Laure, just end it, we're done.
That's why you have the best
Fuck
teamwork.
this.
Okay, we're gonna wrap this one, Odoamne. Thank you so much for the interview. Congrats again on reaching
Thank
finals.
you.
And we're gonna take one last break and
Later,
we'll be back
nerds.
in a few minutes with post-game lobby. Don't go anywhere, he's already gone. I'm just alone right now.